Good morning, it's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right, it's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on LouTube today. Thanks for watching. You know, today at 3 o'clock on the live show coming up this afternoon, I have a Miami Hurricanes fan coming on to talk about the Miami Hurricanes 2018 season. So in preparation for that, I was looking up a few things about the Hurricanes to talk about with this guy at 3 o'clock today, and it done got me all worked up and pissed off all over again about this whole Mark Richt situation. And in fact, you know what? Hold on. That's better. I love this new setup I have in here, but the thing where I've been having the camera still like that, that's great. But sometimes when you get aggravated like this, the best thing, you gotta pick the damn camera up and just walk around. Sometimes you just gotta go old school with it. Like those during the season Uncle Lou videos where you just hold the camera right in front of you, you stare right into it, pace. Mark Richt. You know, let's go back in time here to what Uncle Lou tried to tell Miami Hurricanes fans from the time they hired this guy, right? Which, a couple of things, and this was just me. I mean, I was trying to help these people out, trying to prevent what I knew was going to happen. What did I tell you? What did I tell you about Mark Richt and Florida State? Right? Miami's biggest rival. What did I tell you? He'll beat Florida State once every 3 or 4 years. But in the year that he beats Florida State, he'll lose 3 or 4 other meaningless games to nobody teams. And look at last year. You beat the worst Florida State team in God knows how long by 1 score. Barely beat them. And what do? You lose your last 3 games of the year. 2 of them weren't even really close. One of them was to something called Pittsburgh. But not even that. Even the wins, Miami had a stretch of 4 games in a row where they played Florida State, trash, Georgia Tech, trash, North Carolina, trash, and Syracuse, trash. 4 games in a row against absolute dumpster juice teams. And 4 games in a row that the Fighting Mark Ricks won by 1 score. 1 score. Now, this is the type of crap that Georgia fans dealt with forever with this guy. And I'm not going to get into a whole bash Mark Richt thing. I'm just laying out some facts for these Hurricanes fans. Same facts I tried to tell you guys when you hired him and you argued with me. And now you see Uncle Lou was right. Now, juxtapose that, which is another word for contrast, in case there's any South Carolina fans watching who don't understand what juxtapose means. But compare and contrast that to Georgia under Kirby Smart this last year. We played some garbage teams too. Vandy beat them by 30. Mizzou beat them by 30. Kentucky beat them by 30. South Carolina beat them by 14. Mississippi State beat them by 30. Appalachian State beat them by 40 or whatever it was. You see what I'm saying here? There's no killer instinct with Mark Richt, and that kind of stuff trickles from the top down. Congratulations on your turnover chain. You finally figured out a way to get more than 5,000 people to come to a home game by doing the 2 chains thing or whatever you got going on. A 2 Live Crew necklace or whatever it is, trying to take it back to the old school. And that's great. Hats off and props to you for getting a few thousand people to come to the games finally. That's great. Turnover chain, way better than Tennessee's trash can. But listen, the reality of the situation is this. Mark Richt is a 9 or 10 win coach, 99% of the time, okay? Yeah, you won your division last year, and that's great. In fact, first time Miami's ever won their division in the ACC, ever. Still haven't won the ACC, and that ain't changing this year. Your schedule this year is absolutely pathetic. I mean, you have a string of nobodies that you play the entire year. Listen, the toughest game on Miami's schedule is week 1 against LSU, and they're like the 6th or 7th best team in the SEC. They've got no coach, no offense, and no quarterback. And that'll be a good game for Miami. Then you play a bunch of nobodies in the ACC. You do get Florida State at home this year, but hard for me to pick Miami to win that game because I just know how Coach Richt is. Is Miami a better team than Florida State? Maybe. They're pretty close talent-wise. Florida State's got a first-year head coach there. So they're going to be going through some learning curves. You would think Mark Richt would have a coaching advantage over Tagum and Baggert at Florida State. But anybody that's been following Mark Richt knows that at best, this FSU game is a toss-up for you. At best. On top of that, you're going to lose to some nobody team that you're a 2 or 3 touchdown favorite over. It's just going to happen. You're going to lose to some trash 500 team. You just are. You are. And even if you make it past Florida State and Virginia Tech is that your second toughest game, woo, even if you make it all past all that and win your division again, guess what's waiting for you in Charlotte? The Taters. And more bad news. Clemson is more talented than Miami, and they have a much better head coach in Dabo Swinney, okay? So not only can you not outplay Miami, you definitely can't outcoach them. Okay? Are you gonna have a better team this year than you had last year when you lost by 30-something points to the Taters? Is it gonna be 30 points better? Huh? And again, these are things I have been trying to say to Miami fans since the moment they hired this guy, and y'all didn't want to. No, they didn't want to hear it. I mean, you just didn't want to listen. You didn't want to hear it. You saw what happened last year. You guys thought you were kings of the mountain starting off, what was it, 10-0 or something like that. I think you started off, didn't you? Yeah, I think you started off 10-0. Of course, lost your last 3 games. But you guys thought you were kings of the mountain. Miracle win over Georgia Tech with a last-minute miracle catch, one-handed circus crap on the sideline that kept a drive alive. That Georgia Tech should have won that game. You barely beat a terrible North Carolina team. Syracuse, already mentioned, Florida State, worst team in 20 years. Miracle win there just to get to 10-0, just so you can show up in Charlotte and never even get off the bus when you got absolutely mollywopped by Dabo Swinney and the Taters. What did the Taters do after that? They turned around and got mollywopped by Alabama. So, I mean, that tells you how far behind the SEC that the ACC currently is. Clemson was far and away the best team in the ACC last year and got absolutely manhandled by Alabama in the first round of the playoffs. And Miami, you ain't on the Taters level. You just ain't. You just ain't. And the Miami fans are loud and obnoxious because they won 10 games last year and got brutalized in the ACC championship game. So all of a sudden, the U is back. Back where? Back to the mid-2000s maybe, when you still weren't winning the ACC. You're not winning the ACC this year. Hard for me to imagine, like I said, you beating Florida State this year, even though they've got a lot of issues of their own, and who knows what they're going to get out of Taggart and Baggert. Their new coach they got, who knows? But Mark Richt is not an unknown. You know, we do know that Mark Richt is going to Mark Richt. I mean, he just is. Richt is going to Richt. I mean, that's not changing. The guy's been a head coach for what now, 17, 18 years now? That's not going to change. Richt is going to Richt. He's going to barely beat the nobodies, right? Because there is no killer instinct. He's going to barely beat the nobodies, which is always going to come back to bite him at some point in every season. You saw it last year with Pittsburgh. You know, you play these garbage teams, you let them hang around within 6, 7 points, 3 points, whatever. Eventually, at some point during the season, one of those teams is going to bite you. Last year it was Pittsburgh. It'll happen again this year. It happened at Georgia all the time. I can't tell you how many times Mark Richt lost to a 500 South Carolina team just to go on to finish 11-2 or 10-3, or in the case of one season, 13-1. Just ridiculous. Or Florida or whoever. And it's not changing. Welcome to your new reality, Miami Hurricanes fans. Don't say Uncle Lou didn't try to tell you, because I did. Not my fault that you got a bunch of shit in your ears and don't want to listen. But have a good morning, though.